If you knew me before, you wouldn't even look my way.
And welcome back to Sullivan's Unheard Voices. I'm here with Brady. Oh my goodness, the master of keys. Like, when I saw you at that Johnny Wheels concert,
Yeah.
and just some of the way that you arrange things and how you play, I just like, I'm in awe in how much you've been able to not only to master the keys, but to master the timing of the keys, because you were in time with that band the whole time.
Yeah.
How did you get started on the piano?
So my dad was a huge Jerry Lee Lewis fan. He still is. That's about all he would listen to for music is Jerry Lee Lewis. So that's about the only option we had if we were going on road trips or because I grew up in a small town,
Yeah.
Wallowa, Oregon, which is 800 people out in the middle of eastern Oregon. And so it was either that or the AM radio. And so I kind of took everything that I could hear Jerry Lee Lewis doing because he was a brilliant musician. He wasn't just a wild rock and roll man. He was a really good piano player and had very good timing. And I'm still working on my time. I work on my time every day. That's the hardest part about playing. But yeah, that's how I started.
Do you remember the first instrument you played?
It would have been the piano.
Yeah.
And
Was
I
it like an electric piano, like a piano?
no, it was a Kawhi. Yeah, I still have it in my house.
That's awesome.
It's my childhood piano.
Yeah.
It's been there ever since I was born. I'm pretty sure. There's a picture of me reaching up and in a diaper playing the keys.
I love it.
Yeah, I still have that picture. So that was the first instrument.
And do you remember like the first song that you learned to play?
I think allegedly it was just a one-fingered version of the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of picking it out by ear
Yeah.
and by the time I think it was the morning of a work day for my dad, and I had worked out one hand on the piano, and by the time my dad got home, I had worked out a chord progression in my left hand to accompany it, and that was kind of what got the snowball effect going.
That's awesome. And then, do you remember a time when you started to like realize that you were pretty good?
Um, I always knew that I had it. I had
Yeah.
something, and I just rolled with it. And I thought I was better than I was early on. You think you're the king when you can
Yeah.
copy a Jerry Lee Lewis song. I was playing them way too fast. I was probably 9 years old when I finally kind of figured out how music works on a piano. And I remember being in Alaska. My dad had to move to Alaska, and my mom and I stayed in. Well, they were divorced, and so I'd go visit my dad in Alaska. And there was 2 months where he would have to work a lot, but I'd be home all day, and there was a keyboard there, just a cheap digital Casio or something. And I learned a lot of music up there in that 2 months. I was probably 12 at that time.
And one of the things that fascinates me about your musical career is that you're just not in one genre. And how difficult is that to sort of maintain? Because you have to play a little differently if you're playing jazz versus blues versus something else, right?
Yeah.
Like, so how do you go about making sure that you sort of stick to those parameters?
I use my ear,
Yeah,
and it's to a fault. I'm not like schooled in music
yeah,
like a lot of guys are. I love songs. I don't care about music riffs anymore. I used to, try and figure out all new kinds of musical riffs, but now I'm more about creating songs and if I'm not creating the songs, interpreting songs and conveying them to an audience or a record, in a recording,
yeah.
which is really hard. Live is way easier for me than sitting there under the headphones and dissecting every nuance of your breathing and your voice and how it sounds. It's really hard to record. But yeah, so I'm more about the song. So if there's a particular song I have to learn, I learn a song.
Yeah.
And there could be a vocalist on it, so I'll stay out of the way. If I have to take a solo, okay, I can come up with a good solo. It just takes a while for me. So yeah, I country music. I love playing country music, but it's like the older country is what I like.
Yeah.
And I never did want to be stuck in one genre.
Yeah.
I like all music, so.
And I appreciate that so much. One of the things that's always fascinated me, especially with like piano players in particular, and one of the things I appreciate about you is when you do that slide,
Hmm.
like I don't think people realize how difficult that is to sort of master. That is a difficult thing to do.
It is actually.
Yeah. How did you go about learning how to do that? Just like tons and tons of practice?
Uh, well, that's the whole Jerry Lee thing.
Yeah.
They have to be in time,
Yeah.
so it's like they have to be, or down the other way. So I see a lot of guys using their fingers like that.
Yeah.
Uh, but I learned from Jerry Lee Lewis, of course, and so it's the thumb, and it's like you got to be flashy about it too.
Yeah.
There's a style. Like when he does it, it doesn't look like anybody else doing it. There's a lot of guys who try to copy it, and of course you can do but it takes a flair. Like if you're doing that, start with your thumb up here, so it's a big, and of course you try to start at the same note,
Yeah.
so they're all even and in time. And it's really hard, actually.
So difficult.
It's hard for me. Sometimes I'll
Yeah.
miss,
Yeah.
and that's really embarrassing. But it happens. But I have never seen that happen to Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
Never. And I've dissected a whole lot of he's pretty incredible performer.
Amazing keyboardist.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he had his thing. He wasn't I don't know.
So here's my philosophy, right? Because like I care more about the musicality and the overall performance than I do about the technicality of anything.
Yeah.
Right? I appreciate those artists that can be precise and technical, but it takes something to kind of be on the fly and to keep time and come up with like solos and stuff like that while you're on stage. And just the idea that somebody can do that day after day, show after show, and it's always amazing. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
Totally.
And one of the things that I was kind of curious about, because when you're on stage and you sort of like you were talking about like the solo piece, right? How do you sort of come up with those? Like one of those things I always love to ask musicians is about the muse. Because it's the muse. I always think of the muse as like a living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
And you just have to be open to when it comes because you never know when it's going to come. You never know what. So what happens when the muse gets to you?
It depends on what key I'm in.
Okay.
It's easier to play solos for me in C, F, G, A, E, B flat. But if you stick a song in the key of C sharp, I'm totally clueless at what to play. I think I can survive, but I'll be very, very simple in my playing. You can play a one-note solo, and as long as it's in the right place and in the right time. If you focus on one note, then okay, what else can work? The next note over. I'm very visual like that.
Yeah.
But the muscle memory comes from the boogie woogie chops of, So you can vary everything on from that. So if you're doing that, you can do a bunch of variations of it. So, or, that's the same position, but you can just leave your hand in one spot and do, it's close to the same area.
Yeah. Oh.
And then you can change your chords, and you kind of learn your inversions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go from a C7 like that, and you're playing 3 chords, and you go to to F, it's really close.
Okay.
So that's the 4.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's just right in that same area. So you start to learn those little shortcuts. And sometimes it's like you can play solos in one area over the changes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just, okay, I'm going to completely play the chord change without an inversion. I'm going to go and be in G, when it goes to the 4, or a G position.
Yeah.
Uh, the You can play everything in the C position over blues like that. But if you change, you just change your approach. If you get another solo, okay, now I got to change my approach because I've already done all the party tricks that I can do in that one spot. But then other kinds of music, playing an A minor, or some songs I've been switching up the instrumentation as I play a motif, a Yamaha motif. So it's got all kinds of sounds.
Okay.
So I'll just flip through there and find something that sounds like the Wurlitzer, and because it changes your solos too. When you have another patch underneath your fingers,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, that doesn't sound so great when you play a lot of notes on a chord. It sounds more powerful when you play it more like a guitar player would play it.
And so you kind of have to keep track of the notes that you're going to use in progression based on the sound you got coming out of your electronic keyboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Not
Yeah.
everything sounds good. It's like
Yeah.
if you play a chord there, it sounds nice right there. If you go an octave lower, doesn't. So you have to get rid of the middle, get rid of the major third.
Oh.
Now it's a power chord, which is also the. You don't have to do anything else. I could sing the whole song just playing rhythm. And it sounds, you could just sing after that. And then sometimes I find it more effective to not even move my right hand. If I'm doing a show and speaking, sometimes I'll be in the mic speaking to the audience as I'm playing a boogie woogie thing.
Yeah.
And that in itself is like effective as, okay, what's he going to do next? It's like my habit is to want to play, and talk. But if you just leave the right hand completely out of it, there's a lot of space. And then when you really lay on the gas, your solo is more effective. And that's just I'm talking about from my solo show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that so much because, and one of the things also, Brady, you got a voice on you.
Sometimes.
Probably
Probably not right now.
Of the time. and the reason I say it is because you get these people that are amazing artists with instruments, and the luxury of being able to sing on top of that opens up so much more opportunity and so many more doors.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you know you could sing?
I could always hear pitch really well. I still struggle with singing. It's a struggle for me. Some guys, it's really easy for them. They wake up and they can sing. Johnny Wheels, I think, is like that.
Yeah.
He can just sing.
Yeah. Mickey Jones is like that too.
Yeah, they just get up out of bed and they're pretty much where they were last night.
She's talking like this. She was sick recently and she was talking like that, and then she gets up on stage, couldn't even tell.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I'm envious of those people, but my I'll always revert back to my dad.
Yeah.
And he was like, if you ever want to have a career in this, you got to start singing. And I was really shy about it and self-conscious. And I remember the first I recorded just me and the piano and my voice. I had a really nice lady, Janice Carper, in my hometown county, who's a really good songwriter and really good singer and musician. And she taught me a lot about music. And she encouraged me to, sing. We recorded Piano Man.
Yeah.
Or in What a Wonderful World. There's parts in those songs that really I had to really figure out, how do I get those notes? And I'd get them, but they were really thin. Okay, how do I sing those notes and make them sound good? Because you can get up there and they don't sound so good. And so when I finally got those notes and heard them back on record, I'm like, okay, I can sing.
Yeah.
And I didn't really, so I remember my first show where I actually sang in public and just nervous, sweaty palms and racing adrenaline, just probably pale looking. And I got up there and started singing, and pretty soon it just became comfortable.
Yeah.
And then got to the point to where I'm like, the singing is actually the most important part of what I could do. Playing is one thing, but to if you want to put songs out into the world and convey music to people, lead singer is where you can play jazz and convey music to people without singing, but not in my world. I'm not a
Yeah.
jazzer or I have some chops on piano, but I like songs with words and.
It makes a difference, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you have the ability to create like your own song with your own sort of lyrics and your own musicality, there's like a totality of a message that comes with those songs, and that I really always just admire more than some of the others, if you will. And I was listening to that one where you were recorded. I think it was wasn't in Aurora. It was in was the one that's on YouTube.
Are you talking about the Pendleton Roundup?
Yes.
Yeah, those videos.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
One of the things that I admire most about those videos is how much you share the stage with your fellow musicians.
Yeah.
The thing that I love about musicians who are humble enough to like say like this is we are here together. I want everybody on the stage to shine.
Yeah.
I love that. Is that something you just always kind of had or figured out along the way?
That's something that's my personality.
Yeah.
If you look at a guy like Jerry Lee Lewis, that's not his personality.
Yeah.
He walks out, he is King Kong, and when he says "play it, boy" to his guitar player, the guitar player's right there, the drummer's like right behind him. That's just a different style of band leader.
Yeah.
The camera's like deadpan or close up on his face, and he looks right at it and sings. I'm more like, okay, I'm tired of playing right now, so Tommy, why don't you play something? And Tommy Pearson just rocks out on guitar, and so I'll just let that roll for a while, and then I don't know, it's just a different way of doing things.
Because I loved it when the one you were talking about, the solo with the bass player.
Oh, Jeremy, yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, do it again. Do it again. That's not enough. And I was like, hell yeah. And so like when you're writing songs, does like thoughts come to you like in the middle of the night? Like how do you capture like when you get that moment like, oh, I have an idea for a song?
Um, say, ask that one more time.
So like when the muse comes to you when you're writing your own songs,
Hmm.
right? Is there times like you like 2 o'clock in the morning you wake up with
Yeah.
a riff or
Oh, yeah.
like how do you get that to music?
I can visualize it
Oh, that's awesome.
because I can hear it already.
Yeah.
So it's actually pretty easy because it's like my DNA.
Yeah.
I can hear things ahead of time, which also helps with soloing.
Okay.
But songwriting, I can hear how a chorus is supposed to go, and then I can hear some background harmonies on it. It's really hard to figure out all of it, but you got to start with something. And I know the keyboard so well that I can visualize the keyboard in my head and play. Like if I'm laying there with my eyes closed thinking of a song, I can just play and think of the changes. And
Yeah.
will that work with my words? And then I have to write them down. If it's something good, you got to write that down. And then usually if I go back through my old lyrics that I've written down, I can look at them and still remember the tune that I kind of put behind it, even from years ago.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of what strikes me. Yeah.
That's so awesome. And then how long does it normally take for your like thought process to like actually putting down like a piece of music? Is that something sometimes it's like you never know or is it like a process?
Sorry, ask that again.
So like when the muse comes to you and you write that down, right? And you have this tune in your head.
Mm-hmm.
What's the process to get it to where you're sitting in front of a piano with a complete song?
Oh, it's long
Yeah.
because it's hard. A lot of my songs are built on muscle memory by now, so I have to start building muscle memory.
See, and that's one of the things that I want to convey to people, right?
Hmm.
Because a lot of people think it's so easy to come up with a song and all this. No, it's not. It is so
It's
hard
hard.
and is so much time because, like, even with like a five-piece band, right? You're trying to get five people's ideas and embodiments into one piece of music. It's
Hmm.
hard enough just by yourself, but then trying to pull in guitar, bass, drums, all that other stuff. It's a process.
Oh yeah, that's another animal too. To get musicians, it's really hard to get your fingers, my fingers,
Yeah.
to do what I hear. They have to build the muscle memory. Then it's extra, even harder than that, is to tell another musician what's in your head and to get them to play it. It's a That's a struggle, but the struggle is real, and that's what it takes. You have to be all in to write a good song, and for it to even have a chance.
Yeah. And all in for several months. This is not like
Oh
a
yeah,
week long process, people.
years,
Yeah.
years.
Years. Yeah. That's awesome.
It can be fast.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there and you need to get a song written, you can make it happen. It just takes another gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like once that song is produced, like how do you get it out there?
Gee, that's a whole nother thing. It's getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
I find that there's some ways to do it. You could do a live version, uh, and if the audience reaction is there and it's mic'd and captured, you can't help but notice that and feel the energy in the room over your song. So if you record it that way, uh, it it's almost subconscious. Applause and reaction is contagious. It really is,
Yeah.
and laughter is contagious. Um, so to get it out there, it takes um, creativity to get it to cut the mix because business is oversaturated with a lot of people with talent, a
Yeah.
lot of great songwriters. Um, Write about your dog and how much the dog means to you. There's a lot of songs out there that are about dogs and how wonderful they are, and then they die in the last verse.
Yeah.
Because, that's the life cycle of a dog, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So those songs, if the subject matter is the personal relationship with a dog, they tend to cut the mix. Nobody, it's all about how you word it. You keep it simple. Everybody knows what a dog is and how they make you feel.
Yeah.
So it's an immediate tearjerker, and a lot of those dog songs, they get traction. So that's one way of doing it. Pick subject matter that matters to people. Everybody matters to everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's
But yet you still have to maintain something that means something special to you when you do that.
hmm Yeah, dogs are special to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I brought that up as an example. Um, there's a lot of things that are special to me, but like love songs, there's almost too many.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
Um,
Yeah. Hmm. And the love songs that you hear, they don't paint an accurate portrayal of what life
right,
is like.
right, yeah.
It's like we would love to have this, but that's not reality. And I love music that's like cemented in reality.
Hmm.
Like I love that raw, pure emotion of like, yeah, this person is feeling this,
Yeah.
or this person felt that when they wrote that song.
Hmm.
And I also like believe that like places where you play have memory too. And so, like, when you play at a place like the one I saw you at, there's a stage memory from all of the musicians that
Oh
sort of
yeah,
came before,
yeah.
and you can feel it when you walk into a place. You just
Hmm.
feel like, oh, this is going to be a good show, and I think it's more of the feel than anything else.
Hmm.
Uh, do you find like a lot of venues are still sort of up and running in the Portland area? Are there still a lot of places for you to play?
I never really was a Portland musician, so
Oh, interesting.
I didn't go down there a lot. The Blue Diamond is one of very few places that I actually go play.
Yeah.
So I go to where people are hungry for music. I have to travel
Interesting.
down up and down I-5.
Yeah.
I was in the county fair circuit. I still do, select fairs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they're a grind because you're doing 3 shows a day and you're entertaining people they didn't pay a ticket fee to come see you. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of draw them in and uh, kind of steal techniques from hypnotist shows, hypnosis shows that draw crowds in.
Yeah.
How do you draw them in if you're just sitting there with a piano?
Yeah.
Well, the rock and roll Jerry Lee Lewis chops sure help.
Yeah. Yeah.
And executing good songs, executing songs that people know. But I love when I get chances to play in Portland. I don't love all venues in the cities. Some of them, it's like you bring your own PA in, and if you don't bring your own lights, there is no lights. Uh, I like the ones that are, they're set up for music. They have a house engineer. There's not a lot of those places around Portland, but there are some that are
Yeah.
really awesome. Uh, and I don't think there's enough, but I'm glad there's some because there could be none.
And I'm just trying to picture like how difficult it would be to get on a stage that doesn't have any lightings or is not built for music. Like
Yeah,
that's got to be a challenge.
bands bring their own stuff,
Yeah.
and if you really want to cut the mix as a band, and by the mix I mean, how do you rise above what everybody else is doing to bring the best product to people watching you?
Yeah.
They're bringing their own lights. They're all on the same team about it. Nobody's complaining. This is what it takes. Lights on stands versus lights you can hang. Big PA, having a Marshall stack behind you because it looks cool more than anything.
Yeah.
Bringing professionalism to the stages is what bands have to do. So it's nice when you get to a venue and it's all there. All you got to do is walk on and do your show.
I love venues that have put forethought into musicians when they build their places to play music.
Totally.
And it makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're doing a live show, one of the things I always love to ask musicians is what is your favorite part about performing live? What do you like to see the crowd do that makes you smile or that makes you like know that your music is being appreciated?
I'll find people who are enjoying it and I'll focus on them.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, and then there becomes the connection to one person.
Yeah.
Then pretty soon it's the whole table. And then it's the tables around them. If one table over here is blabbing and talking and I can hear their conversation as I'm trying to play, I'll get quieter, way quieter. Pretty soon, all you can hear is that table talking. And somebody from the table will look up and be like, oh, I guess we are the noisiest people in the room right now. And then I'll just smile at them and say, I won't say anything. It's just like, okay, you guys want to be part of the show now?
I love that.
I mean, it's just all fun.
Yeah.
That's what I like best. If there was nobody there watching to have fun with,
Yeah.
it's really hard for me to want to play. I like playing with other musicians, but if I'm there playing piano by myself doing a solo show, it's really hard. It's because I don't just sit here and play for me.
Yeah.
If I'm playing, I'm trying to write a song or, I'll practice my chops to keep them up for the gig, but I don't have to practice songs I've been doing for 15 years. I show up and they're usually still within my fingers.
Yeah.
But the people that relationship you build in a live show is great, which is even easier to get done when they've paid $20 at the door.
Yeah.
When they've paid $20, they're there to see your show,
Yeah.
and they're expecting you, and they're anticipating a performer. It makes it easier to perform. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say at the same time though, like from a person in the audience's perspective, and this goes to anybody listening, if you're at a place where there's live music and you want to talk, go outside the venue and talk. let the people who are there to enjoy the music just enjoy the music, because like they, it's just please. That's all I ask of people, and that's one of the reasons I keep bringing it up, is because like I'll go to these places and you'll get those tables where they're just talking, and I'm like, do you not see what is happening on stage right now? Like when that show with you and Johnny, when Johnny had everybody go quiet.
Yep.
I was like sent chills down my spine, man. I was like, Johnny, like how?
He's an amazing band leader.
Oh, just out of this world, out of this world. And I one of the things that I always appreciate from piano players in particular is just how versatile they are. Like you can do the solos, but you can also do the background, and you can like, there's all of these different aspects with keys that you can't get with other instruments.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you keep all of that? So it's just like a gut thing.
It's yeah, it's a full spectrum piece. That's
Yeah.
why I prefer to use a keyboard with 88 keys, because I'm a piano player, and if I get a 61 key keyboard, I can't do some of the stuff that I do, and the timing is off, the size of the thing is off. I can't like look away from it because I don't know where anything is underneath me. If I have all my keys here, I'm I've spent so much time behind a piano that I can watch Johnny Wheels as he's trying to direct traffic. And when I see him do something, I'll make sure that Alec back here on the drums knows about it. And I'll look and I say, there's a break coming. He's going to want, if someone is still playing loud on stage because they didn't see what Johnny did, here I am looking at the guy, the loudest person on the stage, and then like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So it brings it down. Uh, and not saying that I'm Johnny's band leader or anything like that. That's
No, not at all.
Brandon Logan is,
Yeah.
he's right there beside Johnny, and I've seen Johnny reach over and like, tap Brandon on the leg, and Brandon knows exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And uh, like working with Curtis is the same way. Curtis Salgado.
Yeah.
He's an amazing band leader, and he rehearses a lot, so his bands are always super tight. And it's like him and Alan Hager. So I'm watching Curtis because Alan, he's like, watch Curtis first. Then if you can't see Curtis, watch me. That's kind of the deal.
And I love how bands communicate on stage without saying a word.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where if you pay attention and you catch it, it's fun to watch. Like one of the things I enjoy most in life is band rehearsal and practice. I love watching how the sauce is made, so to speak. It's one of my favorite things in life. And so it's like, oh, that's so awesome, because it's like I appreciate the imperfection along the way.
Yeah.
Like when there's that imperfection, or it's not everything is complete yet, and just seeing when it clicks, it's just words can't describe, because everybody on the set, when they see it click, there's this universal look in everybody's face when that moment comes.
Yeah.
Take me through that moment, if you would.
Well, if you live in the world of music long enough, in live performance, uh, first of all, you've been around it long enough to anticipate what's coming. You've played this style, or you've played the song with other bands. You've played the song with, 5 other bands. There's 5 different ways it could go. So you have to listen for where those things are going. If you really want to see rehearsal, come to our Revival Brothers rehearsal, our Allman Brothers tribute,
Yeah,
because there's 7 guys in that band.
I would love to come.
And it's like everybody's face to face in the rehearsal room. When you get on stage, it all changes because you open up and they can't see each other. That's why you rehearse so much, because then you have to pick. Okay, Andrew Matthews is in the band now. Andrew, it's got to be you to direct the end of this song, because they can't see me. The drummers have to look somewhere, and everybody's got to look at the same thing. So they look at Andrew Matthews' headstock on his guitar. And when he goes like this, everybody has to hit at the same time. And if you watch the headstock, you're not going to mess up. But if you're watching one of the drummers or that drummer's forgot that the ending's coming, and Andrew does this and the drummer doesn't see it, there's going to be a snare drum out of place or a cymbal crash in the wrong spot. So rehearsal is key because not everybody can remember that much musical information,
Yeah.
myself included.
Yeah.
So you beat it like a dead horse, and I don't know what that saying even means, but you just practice it ad nauseum,
Yeah.
and eventually it just becomes ingrained in your soul. And if you don't practice every week, like material like Allman Brothers music, it's going to show up.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that time and time again, where like rehearsal is the key. And I've spoken to a lot of musicians since I've started this venture, and the ones that I talk to that have the most like on point, they rehearse every week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't think a lot of people appreciate just how much work goes into putting on live performances. It's nice when you have a musician like a Randy Hansen who can just go on stage and be Jimi Hendrix, and that's all that's needed to be,
Mm-hmm.
versus an ensemble where you have 5 people that are really like all of you share the spotlight, because everyone on stage is such a talented musician, and it sort of feeds off each other, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's a breath of fresh air. Yeah. Well, I think we've been at it for. Well, we still got some time. So, when you're putting on together songs, right? Do you have like a method to like? Because you've created a couple albums.
I've done a lot of cover songs in my day.
Okay.
In fact, that's mostly what I've recorded. Most of my original stuff is in the queue right now, being worked on.
Okay.
Which is part of the reason I built this space is because I wanted a place where I could record my demos quality,
Yeah.
quality style. If the demo is not hit worthy, it doesn't have a chance. Nobody's going to listen to it. You know, your fans might listen to it, but you might only have 50 fans or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you're writing a song to maybe get picked up by somebody, your demos have to be good. So I know I've lost track of the original question.
Well, like so when you put in your songs, right? So like you're in the process of creating an album right now, right?
Yeah.
When you go into like album placement, like which songs in which order,
Oh,
do you put in a lot of thought to that?
I used to,
Yeah.
but now it's like everything's on Spotify so now it doesn't matter too much.
Okay.
I mean, you see, if you're building a CD,
Yeah.
yeah, it matters. There's a lot of different ways to do it.
What about your way?
I will usually start off with the best song.
Okay.
With the one that's my personal favorite, I'll put it first. And then I'll put one at the end that's also really good. And towards the bottom half is where I'll put some of the stuff that I feel might not be as strong.
Okay.
But the front half is like, especially these days, if you're making a CD, front half, first 5 or so, have to be pretty rock
Pretty on
solid.
point, right?
And the last one is another favorite. I don't know why I do that, but it just makes sense to me. And kind of that lower bottom before the grand finale is where the weaker material goes. If it's really my way nowadays, I'd prefer that there was no weaker material, but sometimes that's all you got. And people want to hear your songs. And sometimes the songs that you don't like, somebody will come up and say, that's my favorite song on there.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. That time and time again where they'll be surprised, like what the song on an album that I love the most will never chart.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the best song on the album.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know what people are going to like or what people are going to spin off of. But I also appreciate how much intentionality goes into that. Because like a lot of people, again, like they don't realize how much work goes into it.
Thought. Yeah, it's a lot of thought.
Yeah, and there are albums that I have that I can only listen to from start to finish. And I don't know if that's my autism
Really?
or what, but yeah, so like every Tool album, I have to listen from start to finish. I have to.
That's amazing.
And every time, like, I can't listen to song 3 first.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Part of me feels like I'm disrespecting the artist
Yeah.
to a certain degree, because it's like there's so much that they put into it. It's like I want to listen to it as they wanted to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and but it's a different expectation for live shows, right? For live shows, I don't care what order it's in. I'm just there to listen to the music and enjoy.
Yeah.
And I don't want the same music on the studio album in a live performance. I want some sort of variation. I want something like, unique to that live performance because I think it means more.
Yeah.
What's your philosophy on that? Sort of the same.
Live performance?
Yeah, versus studio album. Do you strive to like do the exact same thing?
Oh, so you mean if you're playing your album live,
Yeah.
playing the songs the same way as on the record?
Yeah.
You start there.
Okay.
You start by copying the record. Then, if you're a musician who's, come up in jam session type situations, you find over time you'll pick and choose places to, okay, we're going to have an extra long solo here. We're going to drop it way down here. It's just a 1-4-5 blues jam at this point. We can play that.
Yeah.
We can, and the audience can relate to 1-4-5 blues.
Yeah.
Of course they can. So you find spots. Then you create new endings and moments. You get ideas as you play them live. But yeah, for the most part, these days, I think playing close to the record is all the signature parts have to be there and they have to sound similar.
Yeah.
I didn't used to believe that. When I was coming up, I took pride in never playing the song the same way twice.
Yeah.
But that was only pleasing me.
Oh, fascinating.
So if I'm really I'm into entertainment. I'm an entertainer first.
Yeah.
I want the crowd, the audience to get their money's worth, and they want to hear what they know. Like if somebody comes up there and they're playing Hotel California and the guitar player plays a different solo other than what's on the record, that's one of those songs that you can't really deviate from the script too much. When I do it by myself, I play the guitar I play the piano solo.
Yeah.
But I try to play the guitar solo on the piano as close as possible to the record. And that in itself is cool. I mean, it's impossible for it to sound the same, but to try and do the solo is cool. And sometimes I, nail it, and the audience has been. I figure they're asleep by now, but they love it. That they come out of they're fixated on listening for those guitar parts on the piano. So it can work like that too.
I appreciate you saying that because now I understand sort of like that kind of makes sense. Because like I can see some people being disappointed if they don't hear that particular.
They are.
Yeah.
I know that I am.
That's fair.
If I go to a show, I kind of want to hear that part that was my favorite part from the record.
Yeah. Especially if there's that one hit.
Yeah. It depends on your mastery of your live craft as well. There's a performer that I've followed for years. Martin Sexton is his name. He's a brilliant songwriter and a brilliant solo act. And he's got a one-man groove that is unmatched by anybody. He's a human metronome and his pitch is like robotically good. He's like a human auto-tune and he can just do anything. So I kind of just let him, if I'm watching his show, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to get. It's not going to be like the album, but it'll be better than the album. He's that kind of guy. So if you're that caliber, sometimes I'm okay with, they don't have to play it note for note. This because they're going to bring something cooler to the table.
I get that. But if you don't have the chops, stick to the original.
Right.
Kinda.
Right. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can come up with something convincing.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. But we're doing all those Allman Brothers covers.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to play Ramblin' Man, the solo. You got to play it. You got to have all the parts. A lot of those, we try to copy the record as much as possible, but they are a jam band too, so we've got the players who can jam.
See, and that's actually kind of like a perfect combination of like
Yeah.
sticking with the solos and very because they have that flexibility
Hmm.
in their music at times.
Yeah.
But that's got to be challenging to sort of live up to sort of like. Do you feel more pressure when you're playing like the tribute to the Allman Brothers as opposed to like playing on your own?
If I'm unprepared, yes.
Yeah.
But if I'm prepared, I'm like, okay, this is going to be really fun because it's Allman Brothers music. Everybody's on the same page.
Everybody's here for the same thing.
It's very powerful sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we
That's so awesome.
if we're well rehearsed and we got it going like a well-oiled machine, it's a great product.
And so do strings ever break on a piano?
Hmm.
What do you do if a string breaks in the middle of a performance? You just kind of
Generally,
dead to me.
yeah. I mean, if I was playing a real piano, which
Yeah.
I seldomly play a real piano in my shows, it's
Yeah.
always a keyboard,
Okay.
so there's no strings on it. Uh, Usually, I'll break ones in the left hand, and it goes tink. But there are on a lot of the keys, except when you get down here, there's only one string per key.
Yeah.
I don't know where it starts, but some of these registers, there's two strings. Up here, there's three strings per key. So it's like, uh, you can probably see in there, but if one breaks, it still
Still
works.
plays.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just got to reach in there and pull the string out and get rid of it, because if it's laying on another string, it can cause that one to not work as well. So you got to reach in there and pull it out and throw it at the back of the stage. I've done that before
Okay. That's
because
awesome.
I used to do a tribute to Sun Records down in Arizona, which would require, running from this side of the stage, jumping onto the piano and the microphone stand, all that stuff that we used to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun show, but you'd wind up hitting the keys so hard, snap, you could hear one break on grand piano, the house grand piano, and your first thought is, oh man, I'm not a big enough star to be doing that, to be destroying pianos and other people's stuff, and so you're thinking about it, but the show must go on. So I reached in there and grabbed the string and like threw it at the guitar player, and I think he caught the string.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I've done that a few times.
What's your favorite kind of venue to play?
Um, just anyone with um, a little bit of production, and people have paid a cover charge to see you. It makes them pay attention. Sometimes you can only, like if you're selling tickets at a place like Trails Inn Saloon,
Yeah.
the front half of your show is going to be, people will sit there and listen. But the back half of your show, you're going to get people in off the street who are there, don't know the band. They'll pay the cover charge. They want to dance and have a good time. So I'll dedicate, you know, I love playing at Trails. That's a fun room. There's another one called Spinella's in Gresham.
Okay.
That's a very good venue, and they have a little bit of production, but they charge, I don't know, $10 a head. It's a listening room. So you got to keep them for more like 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's a little too long, but I think a 2 hour show is about right for anything that I want to do.
Yeah.
Um, but that not every show can be a 2 hour show. Sometimes they need music in there from 7 to 10. So you got to do it, or 9 to 1.
Yeah. I've seen a few bands that do that 4 hour show, and my heart goes out to them. Like,
It's a grind.
3. That's oh man.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
got to do the last set, and
Yeah.
maybe there's 17 people left.
Yeah.
Because people go home. They start going home, but you still have another set because you could sell a few more beers. Those are not my favorite,
Yeah.
but sometimes they wind up on the schedule anyways.
I get that. Well, what's up next for you?
Um, so I'm really interested in writing songs right now
Yeah.
and getting them done and getting them done quality style. Because my philosophy is if your demo's not really good, it doesn't have a chance. You can re-record the song, but to get the real pros interested in you, your demo has to be hit quality. Otherwise, it doesn't have a chance. So I have songs in the queue right now, There's always something dropping on my plate, though, that kind of gets in the way. And it's
Yeah.
not in the way. You can't say no to some, to these opportunities. Like tomorrow, I'm actually playing with Johnny Wheels. He invited me to that Jim Belushi party that he does in Southern Oregon. So
That's awesome.
it's going to be a jam, like probably a Blues Brothers jam, I would imagine.
That's awesome.
It's going to be killer. Those guys are so much fun to play with. And then we recorded a live album with Curtis Salgado in Seattle. Now that's in the queue, and Curtis wants to get it done and out.
Yeah.
And that was like, so we have to listen to the tracks and listen for mistakes and overdubs. So that's on my plate. I can't wait till that's released. It is a crushing album.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It's going to be good.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
We had so much fun on that.
And then for your album or your demo, is it going to be like 2 songs or?
I have one song. Strangely enough, I know there's a rodeo announcer that needed a song to open all of his rodeos.
Yeah.
So we're putting a lot of heart and soul into that one because it's going to get mastered and then to the rodeos to be played. It's not like I'm a rodeo country singer guy, but I can sing country, and
Yeah.
he wanted me to write the song. He likes, what I do.
Yeah.
He's more of a rock and roll fan than he is a country fan. So, but it's a rock and roll song with a country voice, kind of like something that Garth Brooks would have done.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's cool. It's fun. Timothy James engineered the whole thing, and I brought in the cast of characters I thought fit the song.
Yeah.
And so we're working on that, and that's probably what I'll work on later today.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well, Brady, this has been an amazing interview. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming up.
Oh, it's been awesome. It's been a pleasure.
Sure.
And I'll say the same thing I say every week, folks. Be kind. Treat people with respect because we're all on the same planet together. And see you next time.